Welcome back to the program. Culture's Capital Market Report for Thursday says the Central Bank of Nigeria sustained its intolerance for liquidity. It surveyed, selling a total of 400.55 billion naira treasuries into the market on the final trading day of January. And that was yesterday. Let's get a bit of a sense of this aggressive mop and the bucket by the central bank. Thaddeus Udegbe, who is a treasury sales at the UBA, to us from the FMDQ Exchange Place. Thanks very much, Thaddeus, for coming through. This was quite aggressive. The central bank says it has little appetite for liquidity overhang in the system. So yesterday, 400 billion naira in treasury sales, dragging treasury yield by about nearly 20 basis points.
Yeah, absolutely. It was an interesting week for us in the market as the federal government paid in FAC. Monthly FAC for December was paid on Tuesday. This week we saw about 311 billion paid into the system out of what was approved by the council at about 648 billion. And that significantly boosted system liquidity. Banking system liquidity was up by over 400 billion. And that was responsible for a parallel shift, downward shift in the yield curve across all the maturities, the 1 year to the 20-year bucket. We saw a significant parallel shift with the 1 year trading at 17% yield, while the 20-year stopped at about 15.3%.
5 years. I'm looking at treasuries maturing February, March, all the way to July, about 12.3, 12.5, 12.4%. This is a major punching the yield curve, the treasury yield curve, right below the belt by the central bank.
Yeah, like I earlier pointed out, this week was a very interesting one. When the FAC was paid, and also there was treasury bills maturity of over 190 billion for OMO bills, because we had a rollover of the PMA, the NTB portion of the bills, was rolled over in an auction on Wednesday. So the excess liquidity from the FAC and the other OMO maturity was absolutely mopped up by the central bank in an OMO auction yesterday. About 400 billion was taken out, and also it wasn't sufficient for the central bank. So the central bank conducted additional special OMO and then took out additional 50 billion. So we had about 450 billion leave the system. And so that meant that system liquidity is still very up today. But at the end of the day, we expect system liquidity to be very moderate, as we expect retail FX, secondary market intervention sales today, as well as bond auction. Bond auction is expected to take out about 116 billion today. At the end of trading session today, we expect system liquidity to be down by over 400 billion as a result of the retail FX economic intervention sales and, of course, the bond settlement.
Yes, so the authorities are not done yet. But if you put the entire January into perspective for us, how do you summarize the month we just finished at the debt market?
Yeah, looking at the yield curve, you would agree with me that it's been a volatile period we have seen week on week, we have seen various fluctuations in the yield curve. But this week we saw that the yield curve inched downwards compared to the beginning of the period as a result of the huge liquidity that was injected into the system, like I earlier mentioned. And so for me, I think it was a very impressive week, given the performance of the fixed income market at both the secondary market and the primary market as well.
Okay. Thaddeus Udegbe, Treasury Sales at UBA. Thank you very much for coming on the program. Do have a great weekend. Thank you. From the debt market, let's just cross the street to the equity side, where Temple Ashaju is waiting in the wings there. Business correspondent, of course. It was a very brutal Thursday to wrap up the first month of the new year. A very aggressive downside. 32 stocks went down, 8 gainers only, and the big names went across board. All the 5 major sectors were hit very hard. So now we're about 2% in the negative territory year to date on our broad index. Temple, where are you? Yeah, get on here, I know the numbers are bad.
We'll probably see a pullback from that losses.
Yeah, Temple, I know the numbers don't
so
look
we'll
good.
probably see a pullback from those losses that we've seen today, because in early trades now we're doing some 0.55% already, and we're seeing re-entry in a lot of those bellwether stocks that lost most yesterday. If you talk about the banking names, the major ones at this point in time are currently receiving re-entry from some domestic investors, and of course that tells you that the banking indices is currently up. We're seeing re-entry in some consumer goods names as well, talking about the likes of Unilever, where we've seen some kind of projections coming from analysts saying that of course, the purchasing power has really been beaten at this point in time. However, the possibility of the companies listed in that sector is, doing so a bit fairly good this time is really, also possible. They are positive about the full year 2018 numbers that will start coming in. Don't forget, a lot of these companies have also started releasing their close periods, notice of board members meeting in February. So any moment from now, we'll start seeing the earnings coming in, and that will speak more to the numbers. So for that reason, we're seeing some investors trying to cautiously take position in those companies. That's what traders are saying, so that they can position themselves for dividends and bonuses for the full year 2018 results that may start coming in from next week.
Yeah, Tempo next week, of course, earnings will be in very big focus. We expect to have more of those. But do you think the political noise is out of the market street right now? Or still going to be a part of the conversation until the 16th?
It's not out of the market street at all. Yeah, it certainly will be part of the conversation. A few companies may want to release their earnings before the election. Some may want to delay it till post the election. But for how long will the market continue to wait for that? Because with or without election, we also have market activities going on. We have we have more companies now announcing their board meeting for 25th of February, 19th of February, some trying to delay theirs till March so they can see how the election will pan out before they can now start pushing their earnings coming in. But, this market is concerned about transparency and price discovery and really wants companies to always release their earnings on time. So I think it's kind of a mixed grill at this point in time. Whatever the case may be, we'll see some earnings coming in next week, and investors will positively react to them.
Tempo, when you talk about politics here, it's about that locomotive train, isn't it? When it's coming and it's puffing and all of that, everybody try to get out of the way. You don't want to get on the level crossing when a political train is moving. So companies often try to sidestep the electoral calendar, political calendar, and try to play it safe. Even when they're doing offerings, so whether it's IPO, whatever it is, try to stay away during the political so that the big elephants, they don't get trashed by those.
Absolutely, Bosun, correct. And that's why you see some companies trying to do some kind of damage control to some news around them at this point in time, and some trying to just maintain the reputation that they've had in the markets. You talked earlier about PZ, which updated the market, investing public, that they are not pulling out of Nigeria. They're still right here. For the fact that election is coming and it is really toppling a lot of things, we're seeing all sorts of reports from analysts talking about the fact that we may not even grow to the levels that we saw the GDP pre-2015 and all of that. All this has a way of toppling the minds of investors. And so you want to see companies who also depend on markets here, trying to just keep the balance at this point in time. So I agree with you. That's the kind of sentiment we'll continue to see, Bosun.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's been a very great week sharing this program with you. Do have a great weekend. And Temple Ashajua, our business correspondent. Whatever happens, let's see you at the other side of the weekend, shall we? Bright and early on Monday. Then we'll have a deeper outlook into the new month of February. Bye for now from Lagos. I am Bosun Namafai. I'll see you again.